OnePlus has always aimed to deliver a flagship-level experience at a considerably lower price point than the competition, and this year's new OnePlus 5 is no exception. But can it compare to Samsung's latest and greatest? Hi, this is Steven Shank for PhoneArena, and we'll be pitting this year's OnePlus flagship killer against the bezel-less Galaxy S8 Plus. Although the two phones are quite similar in terms of size, the design philosophies behind them are markedly different. The Galaxy S8 Plus is almost all display up front, with tiny bezels at the top and bottom, while the OnePlus 5 it looks like what phones used to look like before 2017 rolled around and introduced us to ultra-widescreen flagships like Samsung's. It's hard to deny that the S8 Plus has the upper hand here, with its progressive, barely there bezel design up front and its sleek glass profile encased in a sturdy metal frame. But the OnePlus 5 doesn't look that bad either, it's just more traditional and conservative in that regard. Still, it is well built, and if you're not a fan of glossy backs, it's more likely to please with its somewhat restrained matte finish panel. But wherever your opinion falls on either design, there's one area where the S8 Plus completely kills it, and that's physical endurance. For a fragile-looking, almost all-glass flagship, the Galaxy S8 Plus is actually quite well prepared for some moderate torture, with an IP68 rating marking it dust-proof and able to withstand full submersion in water. Moving on to the displays, apart from the obvious discrepancy in the aspect ratios due to the drastically different designs of these two phones, both are outfitted with bright and vibrant AMOLED panels. The Galaxy S8 Plus has the greater resolution of the two at 1440 by 2960 pixels, and it's also much brighter than the display on the OnePlus 5, with one of the highest output screens we've ever measured on a smartphone. None of this is to say that the OnePlus 5's so-called optic AMOLED display is terrible in comparison, it's just not as good. The phone is outfitted with a 1080p 5.5-inch OLED display, which delivers sufficiently sharp imagery, although neither as crisp nor as bright as what we get from Samsung's display. How about the software on these phones? Another main selling point for OnePlus devices, apart from the attractive combination of beefy specs and low price points, has always been the streamlined OS they run, which the company calls Oxygen OS. It looks very similar to stock Android, blazing fast and light on boot, but it offers substantially more in terms of customization. In stark contrast to Oxygen OS, Samsung's TouchWiz, now called the Samsung Experience, has always been about cramming as much functionality as possible into one place. Although that's had its obvious advantages when compared to other, less feature-rich Android skins, it's also been the source of performance issues for many Samsung devices. With the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus, Samsung has ditched the somewhat cartoonish aesthetic that defined TouchWiz iterations of years past, and as a result the new UI looks sleeker, more thought out, and mature. Despite those visual changes, Samsung's UI retains its feature-rich nature, but unfortunately it's also still quite prone to lag. Speaking of that, let's see what makes these two phones tick. Both come equipped with Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 835 CPU, but the OnePlus sweetens that package with some extra RAM on top. It comes in two storage options, paired with either 6 or 8 gigs of RAM, while the Galaxy S8 Plus makes do with only 4 gigs of RAM and a single storage option. But it does take microSD cards of up to 256 gigabytes, so you won't be running low on storage space anytime soon. All said and done, no matter which version of which phone you choose, you'll be getting your hands on a very, very fast device. However, after using the two for some time now, we've noticed that the OnePlus 5 feels generally snappier than the Samsung, which comes down not only to that extra RAM under the hood, but also to its more streamlined OS. Still, there are quirks here and there, and one of the things to really consider before getting a OnePlus 5, since it's just bugging so many people, is the so-called jelly scrolling issue that's plaguing every unit out there. Long story short, the display on the OnePlus 5 is mounted upside down, which causes weird stretching effects with vertically moving images, like when you're scrolling a web page, for example. It's not so bad as to extend into complete deal-breaker territory, but many people are finding it annoying, so heads up. Both these phones are packing some serious camera hardware, and while the Galaxy S8 Plus bets on a tried-and-true formula with a single shooter on the back, the OnePlus 5 goes with a trendy dual-camera setup capable of optical zoom. But while the iPhone 7 Plus style telephoto lens in the OnePlus comes in handy quite often, the camera's visual quality is far from stellar, often delivering soft, murky-looking shots even in broad daylight, and, not too surprisingly considering that, underperforming in low-light environments as well. The Galaxy S8 Plus, on the other hand, may not have a second camera, and its primary shooter may be less a revolution so much as a minor evolution over last year's, but it's still undeniably one of the best around. Whether you like Samsung's penchant for oversaturating colors in some situations or not, it's hard to deny how solid the S8 Plus camera performs both during day and night. Just have a look at these samples from the two phones. If you're not willing to pay extra for an ultra-flashy bezel-less phone, then this should be a no-brainer. The OnePlus 5 is one of the best options out there. And even if you are willing to pay more, but you're not a fan of curved screen edges, this new ultra-widescreen shape, or just the weird placement of the fingerprint scanner on the back of the S8 Plus, the OnePlus 5 is still a solid option, especially considering the price it's going for. The Galaxy S8 Plus, on the other hand, is a premium phone with ambitions and price to match. It's not perfect by any means, and we do think that Samsung could have spent more time polishing its new UI for better all-around performance, but all said and done, it is definitely the more well-rounded handset of the two. Thanks for watching this look at how two of the most interesting phones of the year stack up. For the full comparison between the OnePlus 5 and Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, not to mention lots more on the latest mobile technology, head over to PhoneArena.com.